Today was a big day for cities, towns, and villages in Vermont. This year's town meeting day looked a lot like its pre-pandemic self, with neighbors meeting in person to decide their hometown's biggest issues on the ballot. From budgets to big-ticket projects, new leadership, and police oversight. This morning, we're breaking it all down with the executive director of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. Ted Brady, welcome back to NBC5 In Depth.
Thanks. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Second year in a row that you all have put together a town meeting day preview report. What was the goal there?
Yeah, well, I think town meeting is the high holy day of municipal government, and what we find is clerks, select boards, justice of the peace. They want to know what's going on in their neighboring towns and around Vermont. So the Vermont League of Cities and Towns took the time to review, about 225 warnings from around the state to look at them and evaluate what's happening. We also do this so our staff, the league provides a service to municipalities. We give them technical assistance. We answer 4,000 municipal inquiries a year. And this gives our staff a chance to understand what's happening around the state, to see what towns are debating on town meeting day.
It's only been a couple of days, but I guess maybe one of the biggest takeaways is that towns and cities and villages were back in person again for the first time since 2019.
Absolutely. Town meeting is back, right? Our analysis showed that more than 180 towns were having some form of a floor meeting. You got to remember that some towns vote on their officers, their select board members and councilors using Australian ballot, but might vote on general questions on the floor. That's a big change from last year where we saw a lot fewer, in the 60 or so realm having in-person meetings. On the other side of it, only about 60 or 70 had a pure Australian ballot vote this year. So town meeting was back, people showed up, and the big takeaway was people were really excited to be back in person.
And people are, and their towns are spending money. South Burlington, Rutland, Middlebury, just a few of the cities that voted yes on some, not only their town budgets, their school district budgets, but some major projects going on.
Yeah, we were tracking about $200 million worth of special projects. Big bonds like here in South Burlington, where they were putting some money into city center and some streetscape improvements, to big TIF votes. $47 million TIF vote in Killington. These are big, substantial, and somewhat unusual in their size and scope and what they're doing to create economic opportunities in these towns. So we saw about 200 million of these in the ballot, and to date, 2 days in, I haven't found one that failed, which is really, I think, telling us that Vermonters are looking for some of these opportunities to happen in their towns. Water projects, clean, safe drinking water, wastewater projects, streetscape improvements, sidewalks, things like this. Also really important to remember, there's a huge amount of federal money coming down.
That's right.
And towns need to bond for the cost of a project, even if they're using federal money. They need to be ready to bond for the full cost of a project, even if they're hoping to get some grant money. So it doesn't necessarily mean that taxpayers are on the hook for every one of these dollars in the end. But they need to authorize for the full dollar.
Yeah, are we getting a sense that people are coming off the pandemic and they know that the federal dollars are available, and if you want to improve your town or your village, that this is the way to go to approve any measure that's up on a ballot?
I wish I knew what was really going on in voters' heads. What I think is happening is, Vermonters understand that in order for them to be prosperous going towards the future, they need to invest in their infrastructure.
Right.
And the federal government leads a good example here. The federal government has invested literally trillions of dollars into infrastructure in the last 3 years. And towns, for a tiny fraction of that, can get a piece of that federal money. And I think they see that as this great opportunity. I also look at budgets in general. So in addition to this $200 million, voters approved $700 million in municipal budgets on Tuesday. I've only found 2 budgets that were voted down the last few days we've done the research. That to me says that voters were in an authorizing mood,
right?
Saying yes to big budget increases. There were several double-digit percentage increases. That's rare in Vermont. They're usually in that 1% to 3%. My best analysis on that is that Vermonters are feeling the pains of inflation, and they understand that their towns are. Their cops need to be paid. Their plow drivers need to be paid. You need to pay people a competitive wage to keep them, and that results in a higher budget.
Some of the other big issues that were on some of the ballots, no-cause evictions. Passed in Burlington and Essex Town, didn't pass in Brattleboro.
Yeah, really interesting. This is something that in a lot of these towns, this no-cause eviction or just cause eviction really has been led by people petitioning to have this put on the ballot.
Right.
And so what we're seeing as these things happen and towns evaluate it, it's hard to tell why one town would say yes and another town would say no. And also really important to remember that by approving this, it doesn't necessarily mean that town's going to take some drastic measure immediately. These towns need to be authorized to do this. And in a lot of cases, not just authorized by the voters in their town, but really important for Vermonters to understand that a lot of towns operate on things called charters. They're constitutions for town government. And in order for you to change the charter, you need to go to Montpelier and ask for permission to change that charter. And as we've seen historically, these just cause eviction charter changes can run into some headwinds in Montpelier because the legislature then needs to approve them and then the governor needs to approve them. And there's a few steps there. So we were tracking, I think it was 6 charter changes for everything from this just cause eviction stuff all the way down to sales tax, local option taxes, to the way Essex wanted to make sure they could recall a select board member if they wanted to. All of that required a charter change, but now that goes to Montpelier, where the legislature will debate it. They have a tendency to change things and then send it to the governor's desk, hopefully.
Speaking of legislation, housing is a big issue. It kind of ties to the evictions. Your stance on the housing here in the state and the housing crisis and how it should be addressed. Where do you all stand on that?
Housing is the #1 issue that our members are facing, our members being town government.
Right.
Select boards are concerned about the availability of quality, affordable housing in their communities. That's why they have changed local zoning laws to be more authorizing, to allow people and facilitate better and more investment in their communities. It's why they've created housing trust funds. It's why they have called on the legislature to do something about housing. So here, in my opinion, the greatest opportunity to make more housing happen is to allow more housing to happen.
Right.
And to do that, you need to change both local and state law. And local zoning is one way you can do it, but there's really the greatest exclusionary housing program in the state of Vermont is something called Act 250.
Right.
And because of Act 250, housing is not being built. It was intentionally created to slow the pace of growth. And in the legislature, we're currently looking at some solutions that really put all the onus on locals. And I gotta say, there are something like 40 towns in Vermont that don't have zoning. Mm-hmm. They haven't solved the housing crisis in those towns. So zoning controls are not solely to blame for the housing crisis. Act 250, the state rules that are in place, they cause as much, if not more, of a problem than local zoning. So we're hoping that this year the legislature moves a bill forward that would provide for some local relief, change local zoning to encourage local inclusionary zoning, change the state to the state rules, specifically to allow Act 250, exempt downtowns and village centers where we want housing to happen, exempt them from Act 250, change the appeals process. One of the greatest costs we have here is anybody can say, no, I don't want that housing because the way it looks, the color it is, or worse yet, the color of the people that would be living in that housing. Using Act 250 and using the local zoning process to appeal something based on an unfounded concern. And then obviously put more money into housing. So with those 4 kind of pillars and cornerstones, we think we could really facilitate more housing growth here in Vermont.
Let's talk about a hot button issue, at least in Burlington, was the police oversight community control board that got rejected on Tuesday night. As we look at the legislative session and what you're looking for, we talked about policing and what the League of Cities and Towns would like to see.
Yeah, so let's start by realizing that we have about 52 municipal police departments in this state. Good thing to remember, we have 252, thanks to Essex Junction, cities, towns, and other incorporated places in Vermont. We only have 52 municipal police departments. But the biggest concern we see in police departments is that they can't find cops.
Right.
They can't retain cops. Their cops are at their limits when it comes to mental health, the mental health crisis. They're responding to many more calls that have to really push on training that they don't have, which is dealing with somebody who's suffering from a mental health issue. That's the crisis in municipal policing right now. The crisis in municipal policing here in Vermont certainly doesn't appear to be structural oversight of the police force. And so we're at the league trying to remind policymakers of the reality on the ground.
Ted Brady, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you, and thanks to all Vermonters that showed up for a town meeting this week.
Ted told us he believes the way municipal police officers are trained needs to change, creating a non-residential training program, making more mental health resources available to them to help the numbers at the local levels grow. His group is advocating for the legislature to take action. To learn more about the work that Ted and his team at the Vermont League of Cities and Towns do, you can check out their website listed here on our screen. Up next,